Well, shares of Apple up about 1% here as day two of the Worldwide Developers Conference gets underway. The tech giant announced a slew of improvements on Monday to address privacy concerns across its products. A key change, the ability to prevent third parties from tracking your online activities. Yahoo Finance's Dan Howley has been tracking all of the developments for us out of WWDC. Dan, let's talk about the privacy issue here. This is something that Apple really, at least publicly, has doubled down on in the face of pressure from a lot of these third-party developers. How significant are the announcements we got yesterday?
Yeah, I think they're just as significant as when we had the original app tracking transparency announcement. And that was really the announcement where Apple had said that they're going to let you know when a app wants to track you and give you the ability to either allow that or disallow that. Now, what you're going to see here is an app kind of report card giving you information on what kind of data the app that you use is accessing. When you open up an app originally or you go to download an app, it will ask you for permissions that you will then give it. So what this is going to do is provide you a report card on those permissions, how often the app is accessing those permissions, and then who that app is sending your information to. So third-party sites that it is sending information about you to. Now, you may provide the ability for an app to look at your photo gallery because you might want to edit your photos. This will provide you with information on how often it's looking at that. Ditto your microphone, location, that will probably be a big one. And then Apple says that you'll be able to go into the settings and then adjust whether or not you want those apps to have that kind of access. And I think this is something that, as you said, third-party app developers are probably going to dislike if they rely on things like advertising, because if they're sending out information about users to third parties for advertising reasons, and people see that and dislike that, well, they may no longer want to use that app. We saw that with app tracking transparency, where Facebook had said this is going to hurt our business. But when Apple wasn't going to budge on releasing it, they said, well, maybe it will help us in the long run. So we really don't know what the results of this are going to be, but it does stand to reason that it provides Apple with an even greater boost in selling privacy as one of its main features. And then in addition to that report card, they announced Icloud Plus, and that's going to provide a kind of internet relay. It's sort of like a VPN, but sort of not. And what it does is it'll essentially mask your IP address and encrypt your information as you go online, so that nobody can see that you in particular are accessing a particular website. And that'll ensure that third-party companies can't track you and build a profile on you, which they would then use for advertising purposes. And again, that's something that I think is going to be an issue for advertisers. Apple says it'll increase security. They also have the ability to hide your email address. If you're signing up for a new service, you can use kind of a burner email address. And if that company starts spamming your address, you can then just delete that burner account and then have nothing to do with that company going forward. So a lot of big privacy changes here coming across the spectrum. It seems to be something that Apple really wants to talk about. But whenever you bring up the privacy issues, obviously Apple's issues with China and allowing or not allowing certain apps there because of what the government says always come up as kind of a backlash to that. So we'll see how companies respond to that going forward.
Yeah, and Howley, interestingly, I mean, on the privacy front, they're also rolling out new, features here when it comes to health sharing, allowing people to share some of that with loved ones. Talk to me about how important that is as we think about how Apple's trying to build that side of the business out.
Yeah, I mean, health is a huge thing that Apple has been building out. Obviously, that's something that Tim Cook has discussed multiple times. The Apple Watch, leading wearable in the world. There's nobody that comes even close to them as far as sales of wearables or smartwatches. So the new health features are built into both the Apple Watch and your iPhone. There's a new health feature that will provide you with information on whether or not you're more susceptible to falls. What happens is the iPhone, by virtue of being able to count steps, give you information on that, can provide you with an update on your walking trends, and it can measure that against what most people have as far as their stride and cadence, and then let you know if you may be more prone to falls, and then provide you with extra exercises to help prevent that in the future. And then they're also releasing a piece for the Apple Watch that will monitor sleep respiration, so your respiratory process while sleeping, and monitor trends there to give you information on whether or not you're outside of those trend lines, and that can indicate some kind of medical issues. Now, this isn't something that would be used for diagnostics. They wouldn't allow you to do something like, say, let you know that you have sleep apnea, which is a common respiratory issue with sleep, but it would give you an alert, which you can then bring to your doctor. And as you mentioned, they're allowing this kind of sharing. So you could take your health records from your iPhone, from the health app, that collects everything from your exercises to your heart rate. It's encrypted, obviously. You will be able to share that with your doctor directly, which is something that personally I've been thinking a lot about. It would be so much easier if I could just share with my doctor what my regular routines are, and instead of just forgetting what I do on the regular when I go to visit them, which I frequently forget. So I think that that's going to be something very helpful. And then, as you mentioned, again, the sharing between family members, that will allow you to keep track of your children or your parents, loved ones who may or may not be at the best keeping up with their health care. So I think these are a bunch of different measures that Apple has rolled out. The privacy and the health sector, obviously big areas where they want to kind of grow and continue to have that big presence.